Welcome to Cinema Convos. This is the show where we bring guests with different tastes in film to have a meaningful discussion about the art of cinema. I'm your host, Yash, and I'm here with my co-host, Zach. Today we are discussing our picks for the 2026 Oscar ceremony wins for every category in the ceremony, and there are a lot of categories, so I'm ready to get this going. And I also wanted to, because I'm actively trying to watch all these movies, Zach. There's 50 Oscar nominated films this year, and I managed to watch 43 of them, including shorts
Hmm.
and docs. But these are the seven I haven't watched, just for context. Diane Warren, Relentless, Cutting Through Rocks, Kokomo, Little Amelie or the Character of Rain, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, Surat, and the one that everyone's seen, Viva Verdi. Um, So yeah, unfortunately, I have nothing to say about those
Yeah.
films this time, but I feel confident in making my picks without having seen those myself.
Viva Verde is strange because that's a movie that no one had heard of. It doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Everything's got a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that's one that I don't even know where I'd begin looking for that film. But it's always cool when the Academy does that. But yeah, I'm ready to, get things going. We're gonna do our best to agree as always, but we may not, and that's okay. We'll see.
It'll be a fight.
It will be a fight for a few of these categories, I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
The first category is the big one, Best Picture, and this is one of those categories, one of those years where I fully feel confident that One Battle After Another is what I would pick to win. There's maybe a slight chance for Sinners to be a surprise, but I really don't see it being any other movie besides One Battle. I feel like it's just absolutely dominated the Best Picture category this year.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. So I think, yeah, one battle seems to kind of be a runaway at this point. It's got PGA. These days, unless you have a groundswell of organic support like Parasite had, if you win PGA, you're gonna win picture. That's usually how it goes. Now Sinners does have support, and it's showing its SAG over the weekend showed that, and I knew that a good showing at SAG was gonna boost its odds, but I still don't think that's enough to overcome one battle after another. One battle has kind of an arc about it. Paul Thomas Anderson, star-studded cast. It's pretty epic. And that's not to discount what Sinners has done. Sinners has done amazing things, but one battle, aside from the SAG ensemble of every major award show that has awarded best film or best picture, one battle out after another has won every single one of those. So, um,
Yeah, and I just don't see that changing now.
I think it's open and shut at this point.
Yeah, I would agree.
So are we agreeing on that?
Yep, in agreement. Let's lock it in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So moving on to Best Director. Uh, Even more so, is basically all that we just said. Uh, this is Paul Thomas Anderson's year. He is the director of the film of the year, and a lot of the arc surrounding One Battle After Another revolves around him. He is an auteur director who has up until this point has not gotten his flowers from the Academy, and it's about time. And so it is going to be Paul Thomas Anderson. He's won all the precursors as he rightfully should, and yeah, it's BTA.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything you said. I think it's also fairly open and shut that he's going to win Best Director. He's a great director, always very innovative. Regardless of how I feel about any of his films, I always feel like I'm watching something totally unique. And again, like he hasn't really been given his flowers, and this is his year. Reminds me a lot of Nolan with Oppenheimer, how they are trying to honor a director who's been, ignored in the past, I guess, is for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel pretty confident with putting PTA in as best director.
Okay, that'll be our pick.
Well, let's see how far we can get before we disagree, because we might agree for a while, and then it's always at one or two where we're kind of, you never know.
Well, maybe it's on. Here's the next one.
This one, before Sunday, I would have said is open and shut, but it's no longer as open and shut as I thought it was.
Yeah.
So that category we're talking about is Best Actor. So for me, I think personally the most deserving actor, in my own personal bias opinion, is Timothy Chalamet because I love Marty Supreme. Not to discount anything Michael B. Jordan has done. He's also phenomenal in Sinners, but I think it's become a two-horse race because of SAG. And I think I'm gonna lean towards Timmy because I thought about this earlier, and I'll tell you why, Zach. Because I want to say, so did Demi Moore win SAG last year?
Yes.
So Demi Moore won SAG last year, and Mikey Madison won Best Actress at the Oscars. And the year prior to that, yes, the year prior to that, Lily Gladstone won the SAG, and then Emma Stone went on to win the Oscar. So I feel like we're kind of in a similar situation where the SAG is not as indicative of the Best Actor win. Um,
I
but
agree with that.
so I lean towards Timothy Chalamet, but it's one of the it's a lot closer than I anticipated initially.
hmm I mean, I agree with most of what you said. I mean, really, the only part I would differ just kind of comes down to personal preference. I personally think of the five nominated performances, I think Michael B. Jordan of the five had the best of the year, mainly because he played two people and they felt like different people. That's really only my thing. But yeah, I think this is Timothy Chalamet's to lose. I mean, this absolutely is his for Marty Supreme. And yes, Michael B. Jordan won SAG, but I think we're forgetting who won the SAG for Best Actor last year. You remember who?
Right, that was Timothy Chalamet, complete unknown.
Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, and the SAG did not want to give it to him 2 years in a row. Um,
Yeah,
it just kind of goes to show you again that you can't really trust SAG with these awards anymore.
they're not
Um,
as strong as of a precursor as they used to be, I feel like.
what I will say is that they're generally stronger in the supporting categories. Um, no one was giving it in 2022. That was a tight three-horse race for Best Supporting Actress. Jamie Lee Curtis had only won at SAG. She wasn't in the conversation really, and she won at SAG a week before the Oscars, and she won the Oscar. So, and there's a couple other examples that aren't coming to me right now, but so, but we'll talk about that when we get to the supporting races. But as of right now, I don't see Michael B. Jordan as a real threat. I would love it for him. I would love it for him, but I think it is Chalamet, and it still feels so weird to say because he's so young, but it's his time. His he's it's his time to cement him as like the best actor of like our current film generation. Like he's our guy, and this is gonna go a long way to kind of cement that.
Yeah, and I think, I think maybe the only uneasiness I feel is because he's a bit younger, but relatively Michael B. Jordan is not that old either. So like I think two of the younger actors being the most like they have the highest chance of winning, I feel like that's not I don't know, that's not going to dissuade me from picking Timmy because I feel like Marty Supreme is not going to get any other Oscars besides like best actor. Like I mean I could be wrong when we go through all the categories, but I think Sinners is going to be recognized in a lot more categories than Marty Supreme if I just thought of it from a higher level.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean also, I mean, look at how it cleaned up when it came to the nominations. Now, Hardy Supreme had nine nominations or eight or nine nominations. So it had quite a haul, but like when you're going up against Sinners in one battle in most of those, it's gonna be a losing battle, except in this category.
This is the one category where I feel like Marty Supreme will get its time to shine for sure.
I I agree. I agree.
All right.
So
Let's
we're both picking him,
yes. And I'm
right?
it's funny because I'm reviewing my odds on Gold Derby, and I one thing I did change is I made Michael B. Jordan my runner-up. He was not my runner-up a few weeks ago, but that's changed.
Who was your runner-up? Ethan Hawke?
I think I had like Leo or Wagner Moura in there,
It should be Ethan
but
Hawke.
yeah, I mean, I always like to be right, so I don't put much stock in who I put as a runner-up initially. But now I'm actually want to, in case Michael B. Jordan wins, I want him to be at least number two.
Good. Yeah. No, I think that is very smart. But yeah, so moving on to Best Actress. So, you know, of all of the acting categories, this one doesn't have it's open and shut, as we said with picture and director, but even more so.
Yeah,
There really has not been any drama in this whatsoever. S.C. Buckley, I think it's almost universal, and you know, you can feel free to disagree with me, or if you do, S.C. Buckley in Hamnet gave the best acting performance of the year. It seems like we've all kind of rallied around that. She's incredible in that film. She showed the full range of acting and almost put on what is a masterclass of acting in that film. Her, not to spoil anything in the film, but she expresses a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, and put on screen in a way that I have not seen a lot of actors do. And it is a remarkable acting achievement from her. So, um, it's gonna go to Jessie Buckley, and she absolutely deserves it.
yeah, I agree. I mean, Hamnet is also, I think, one of the best films of the year for sure. And I remember walking out of that movie, and my initial thought was just that there's no world where I don't see Jessie Buckley not winning an Oscar for that. Like it doesn't compute in my mind that a performance that good will not get an Oscar. Because like it was very much, her character story. It's so funny to see. It's not funny, it's so unique to see a movie where William Shakespeare is a supporting character, because this movie is very much about the mother's struggle with, if you've seen the trailer, you know what this film's about, but I won't get into it here, but it's about loss. It's about creating, coping with loss through by creating art. A lot of things that just resonate with me. And
Mhm.
also, yeah, I think she's by far the best performance, not just in this category, but probably in the top three performances of this year overall.
Yeah.
And I feel very confident putting her in. I've been seeing her win every award. I watch every award show, and she's won. So I'm okay with putting her in there.
Yep. Awesome.
Okay, next up we have Best Supporting Actor, which I so it looks like I did these predictions a few weeks ago because I'm changing my choice. Um, I'm gonna say it's gonna win. It's gonna be Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. I think the SAG win really solidified that for me. I also think he was the best supporting acting performance this year. Also, one of the top five, for my personal opinion. I think Jacob Elordi had some, what's it called, momentum early on, but he's kind of lost it after Critics' Choice. And then I think Stellan Skarsgård winning a Globe I'm okay with kind of dismissing that as like an off chance thing that happened. But he's probably second or third in like the odds. I don't know. What do you think,
Yeah.
Zach?
No, I would agree with that. So, with the Stellan Skarsgård thing, when he won the Globe, it didn't feel like it was an off chance. It felt like, okay, it's going in that direction. Like it wasn't a shock. It was surprise when Jacob Elordi won Critics' Choice, but he also wasn't immediately the front runner after he won Critics' Choice. If anything,
Yeah,
Stellan Skarsgård and Sean Penn were duking it out. And then when Stellan won Globe, they're like, okay, it's Stellan. And then when BAFTA came around and Sean Penn won, that's when the tide started to turn. And now that he won SAG, it seems that it's going to be. The way I see it, it is a fight of kind of two performance styles. Do you like flashy and over the top, or do you like subtle and subdued a little bit? Because that's Stellan. And when flashy, it's Sean Penn. We were thinking the Academy didn't want flashy. So we weren't going with that. But of course, the Academy loves Flash. We know that. I know that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. And I think
So
just the way Sean Penn acted in this film, it's one of the highlights for me when I was watching it, and I would love to see him recognized for it.
yeah, how he walks too. That's hilarious.
Just the walk itself is iconic. It's just so unique, and the way he just embodies this character, and he's so dislikable in this movie, but such an interesting character who's just full of quirks and unique qualities that make him so fun to watch.
hmm One quick stat I'll share, and this is for the category we're on, and also the next category we will be on next. So as I had said previously, SAG has a really good track record with the supporting categories. SAG has not missed on supporting actor since 2015, and they haven't missed on supporting actress since 2018.
Hmm.
They have a very good track record on this. And so, um, and also, well, incidentally, this is a little kind of trivia thing. 2015 supporting actor and 2018 supporting actress, uh,
Hmm.
they both gave it to actors that weren't even nominated for the Oscar. So
Hmm.
that's
Interesting.
just fun. I like
Yeah.
when they do that.
It's
But
helpful information, though. I think it makes me feel more confident about putting Sean Penn as my top pick for this
I
category.
agree. I definitely I feel good about that. Okay, so now moving on to Best Supporting Actress. Now, of the acting categories, this is by far the hardest. Uh,
This is one that has felt every week who I think is going to win is going to change, and it's changed two or three times at least.
no. It's changed for me. Like, I was thinking about this today. It's changed for me over the course of all day, multiple times. I went back between these three. So I think Tiana Taylor, Amy Madigan, and Wunmi Masaku, it's almost a coin flip. I mean, I wouldn't say it's, I think Wunmi Masaku is three, but I wouldn't be surprised if she gets it. Okay, I would be surprised, but it's like I could see it.
Mhm.
Um, Tiana Taylor has been the front runner after the Globe win, and then Amy Madigan really just a sentimental favorite. Well, like in this way because she really is sort of an actor's actor a little bit. If she wins because she won SAG, if she wins SAG and doesn't win the Oscar, in retrospect, that's what we're gonna say about her winning SAG. Like, oh, they gave it to her because, they want to give an older actress her flowers and for something like that. But as to reiterate from before, SAG hasn't been wrong since 2018 in this category. That being said, if they were going to be wrong, it would be the time that SAG predicted an older actress from a horror movie that this is their only nomination. It could very well happen. Um, Amy Madigan was my favorite performance of the year in these, and maybe of all the categories. Um, Tiana Taylor has been the front runner, but I'll be honest, I don't think if she wins, I don't think she deserves it because she's in the movie like probably like 20 minutes just at the beginning. And then
Yeah. And when I think of impact from these performances, I think Amy Madigan played a way more crucial role in Weapons, just being the central villain of the story. And okay, you're right, Tiana Taylor, as good as she may have been, she's really only in the movie for like the first 20, 30 minutes. The movie's almost 3 hours long. And then she's never to really be seen again after that. So like I'm not the type of person who's gonna discount it because it's short, but I understand why like I would not pick her to win because of that. But there have been countless times where actors have less screen time and they make the biggest impact, sure. But you're right about this being like a three-horse race at this point because I do think Winmi Musaku is at number three if you look at the top three. Um, but you're right, it is almost a coin flip. Like I think I would love to see Weapons win anything just because I think it's one of the best movies of the year, like you said, and I think Amy Madigan, like an actress winning for a horror movie would be just a huge step in the right direction for recognizing horror as a genre.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I have problems with all three of these, and not necessarily with problem with the film, just problems why I don't believe they are gonna win. And a lot of them, I mean, Tiana Taylor, uh, kind of a lack of impact. Wunmi Masaku, I think, has more impact in Sinners, but I kind of forgot about her, like in the film. I mean, she gets kind of drowned out by, by the rest of the ensemble, but she has quite an impact in the film.
Yeah.
Um, she could be someone that 2022 was a very crowded race, and that's where people were talking. You remember Harry Condon and the Banshees of Inisherin? People were like, "Oh, she kind of sneak in there, even though she's probably number three."
Mhm.
Um, but if we're gonna go kind of the Jamie Lee Curtis route, the performance that people thought was fun and was great that she's here, but are they really gonna give her the Oscar for it? And SAG was like, "Uh-huh, yes, that's what we're doing." So maybe that's the route that Amy Madigan follows, and they give the Oscar to Amy Madigan. That's what my heart says. That's what I want to say. But I'm going back and forth a little bit.
I think if I had to pick just based on everything we've discussed and I've seen, I would pick Amy Madigan, but I would pick her with not 100% confidence. And I
Yeah,
think that's just something that's not going to change.
true. I want to pick Amy Madigan, but I also want to be different from you, but I also really want to pick Amy Madigan too. So
Although there might be other opportunities to be different. Even this is one of the harder categories to pick. You never know.
that's true. That's true. I almost want to pick Hisaku, but if Wumi Misaku wins, like let's say it's the first award of the night and she gets it, are you gonna be thinking in your head? Because I bet the thought a lot of people are gonna have is, okay, Sinners might win Best Picture now.
It wouldn't be like a guaranteed thing, but it would cross my mind that maybe this is Sinners' big night and not One Battles, but I still feel like it wouldn't sway me enough. I could see it happening, and I could see it happening in One Battle still winning Best Picture. Like I can see that timeline is totally clear to me. I think it's
Yeah,
possible.
I could see that too. I could see that too. Oh,
But I
I
mean,
am conflicted.
when me winning, she won only the BAFTA. Tiana Taylor had the Golden Globe. So I just think the tiebreaker for me is just Amy Madigan having the SAG and what you've told me about it. Like I think that's a trend that'll keep going.
Yeah, I agree. Amy Madigan,
Let's lock it in.
which I'm thrilled. I am
Yeah,
thrilled.
I'm this is one of those one of the few times where I'm, just as excited and hopeful for the same person. I want her to win. It'd be great.
Okay, Amy Madigan.
Let's do it. Next up, we have Best Original Screenplay. I think this one's a no-brainer that it will be Sinners. Sinners is the most nominated film of the year and one of the most original films of the year. So I don't have too much to say beyond that. Outside of that, if it was up to me, Marty Supreme would get a lot more love. That's my personal favorite of last year. But in terms of originality and the way the movie was executed, Sinners is the one I think will win. And it's not like there's no doubt in my mind that that's the movie that's going to win. It's one of the precursors, it seems like. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just one thing on the precursors, there have not been Writers Guild is a little bit late this year. They are they're gonna announce them next weekend, and I say announce them because they canceled their award show, so they're just gonna announce the winners next week.
right, I'd heard about that. So we're
So
we're we're going a little bit blind on this one, I guess, sort
I
of, but
guess not really. I mean, you just follow trends, dude. You just
yeah,
who's talking about the. Well, okay. Well, let's be realistic. Uh, Hardy Supreme and Sentimental Value, they don't have the momentum that they had.
yeah,
Sinners Sinners got 16 nominations and it's gaining steam. Okay? That's gonna win.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry for me. Sinners is the pick.
All right. So next, best adapted screenplay. So again, one battle after another is gonna do it. I mean, it wasn't always this easy. Do you remember when Hamnet was a really big contender where people were like, Hamnet could be a best picture threat. Ain't nobody talking about Hamnet now.
And I gave the time to Marty Supreme. I'll go as far to say I think Hamnet is phenomenal. I actually think it's personally I like it more than One Battle After Another. Might be a hot take, I don't know.
I don't think it's a hot take.
But it's also a type of movie that the Academy usually does honor. It just has that kind of vibe. But yeah, it's One Battle and Sinners for screenplays. I don't see it going any other way. Just looking at these nominees.
I mean, if it were up to me, I would probably pick Hamnet if you were just saying who I think should win.
Right.
But
If it was
um,
like just my personal opinion, that's also what I would probably
yeah,
pick.
you're not betting against one battle here. The only thing I compare it to is, do you remember in 2022, 2023, and this is the case, Yash, where you and we were wrong, or I might have convinced you to go this way or something like that. But we said Oppenheimer was going to win because of the going to win Best Adapted Screenplay because of the Oppen sweep, but it didn't. Instead, American Fiction won. So you had the presence of kind of a dialogue heavy, screenplay heavy film against a juggernaut that is not so screenplay heavy. I don't think that's the case here. I think Paul Thomas Anderson's films are screenplay heavy enough to be a formidable foe in that arena. I think Hamnet is a phenomenal film with a phenomenal script, but um, combining One Battle's momentum with its also phenomenal script, I think it's safe.
Yeah, One Battle is a safe pick. Like if the off chance were wrong, it'd be a surprise to me.
I agree. Wow, we've all agreed so far. Pretty
Yeah.
boring, Yash.
Well, we'll see we'll see if it continues. Maybe we just gotten too good at this, or we're just
Yeah,
both wrong on everything. One or
yeah.
the other.
But we're both wrong, but at least we agree with each other.
Yeah, we go down together.
Go down together.
Well, this next one is fun because it's a new category, best casting. I'm so glad there's an Oscar for casting. I've always felt there should be one. And I think I think the SAG is really pushing me to say this, but the best ensemble win going to Sinners, I feel like that's the best indicator we have for Sinners winning this award. And Sinners has an enormous cast. And I mean, all these movies have enormous casts, but I think the specific casting of Sinners is what a lot, I think that's a lot of it was what makes it great. I would have made a case for Marty Supreme, but like you said, it doesn't really have the same momentum that Sinners has. One battle
Yeah.
could get this one, maybe, but that's what I would go with Sinners.
I mean, yeah, I think Sinners in One Battle are so interesting because you have two juggernauts, absolute juggernauts fighting it out. I mean, it is Godzilla and Kong here. I mean, and it's weird because I think in these below the line categories, especially this one, Sinners has the upper hand, but they don't where it matters. But that being said, I think Marty Supreme did the best job of casting this year. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
just just in general, I listened to an interview with the casting director saying that like we looked at pictures of classic like photography from the age and then tried to find people who looked like that. That's how they cast their extras. They cast people like that. And then you have a bunch of non-actors, you know? 'Cause
Yeah.
you got Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank playing an actual major role. That's
And
kind
also
of
one of the
cool.
best performances of the year, if you ask me.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no, and nobody talks about it, but he's actually very good. Um, but that being said, I do think it's gonna be Sinners because of, I mean, it winning SAG because hey, casting, it's so weird because you have like a tech category, which is counts as a tech category that involves actors. And I'm wondering if in, 10, 15 years, I'm wondering what the correlation between SAG Ensemble and the Oscar for Best Casting is going to be. I bet you it's going to be pretty high.
Yeah, that's a trend we're gonna have to note, observe in the future, but I do agree. I think that's gonna be one to look out for.
Yeah. So, are we in agreement on Sinners?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Moving on to Best Cinematography. This one, I think we're less certain about this one. Now, there are, as I said, there are two juggernauts here, and there's also some films that have less in other categories, but have sort of an art. I'm going to explain why I'm picking who I'm picking, but I want to go back to an example from 2023. Best Sound, Oppenheimer versus Zone of Interest. Oppenheimer was the juggernaut of the year and had really, really good sound, but the Zone of Interest wasn't as strong in other areas, but did one thing really, really good, and it was its sound, and it won. In that, under that same example, One Battle and Sinners are both juggernauts, and they're going to be good in a lot of other categories. However, Train Dreams, on the other hand, I think does one thing really, really well, and it's its cinematography. And I think the people who are voting for this, other cinematographers, are going to see the cinematography in that film and agree it's the best of the year. So that's my pick.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Because I've watched Train Dreams and I was pretty just okay on the movie itself, but the cinematography is one of the strongest assets of that film. And the first thing I thought when I saw it is that it reminds me a lot of a Terrence Malick film. So
Hmm.
in terms of pacing and visual cinematography. So in that regard, I see your point, and I think you made a pretty compelling case to convince me. The more I think about it, it's like Train Dreams is the cinematography movie the way The Zone of Interest was a sound movie. It's just like it doesn't use it in a big flashy way, but it does it better than everyone else.
Hmm.
Um, Now that being said, I think Sinners in One Battle still have a very solid shot here. I but I could get behind. I can get behind going with Train Dreams. I don't I think you made a good case for it.
Okay. What I will say, and just in the interest of us being different,
Sure.
if I can sway you in the other direction, Train Dreams on Old Derby only has like a 23% chance.
Yeah, it does.
Sinners has double that. Do with that
Hmm.
information what you will.
You know what? I'll go risky on this one. I tend to pick the one with the most odds, but let's go Train Dreams. Let's be different.
Okay, here we are agreeing again.
Because Train Dreams and One Battle each on Gold Derby have 24%. So it's it's basically saying they have the same odds, which is makes me feel like Train Dreams has a better chance even with half the percentage of sinners. So
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, let's do it. All right. Next up we have Best Film Editing, which I feel Zach should have some expertise to provide on this particular topic. Um, but let's see. In terms of editing, I feel like One Battle is a very well edited film. I thought F1 was a very well edited film. Sinners, I thought all of these were well edited. So like I don't know what diff actually I have a qualm with sentimental value with it just consistently going to the black screen. I
I
didn't like
love
how
that
much it
part
did
of
that.
Sentimental
I don't
Valley. It's
know.
my favorite part of that movie.
Okay. Well, it I did not care for the black screens. But I could see what they were doing with it. It's interesting. That being said, what do you think, Zach? What are you leaning towards here?
What I will say is film editing. this it's a category that always carries a lot of momentum with it. People kind of treat it as a category that holds a lot of weight with Best Picture, not always the best like actual like technical editing. If we were to award the best editing, I think it'd be F1. And listen, I have my issues with F1. I have my issues with it being in the best picture category, but it's a damn good editing job. They do very
Oh yeah.
good technical editing. It's very immersive. We haven't seen a film I mean, a lot of the editing winners, I mean, Ford v Ferrari is the last movie of its kind to get a best editing win back in 2019, which I mean, car movies, the others, I mean, haven't like those are films that are just kind of packing in a lot of the action, but best editing has a very high correlation toward best picture. Oppenheimer and Anora all won the Oscars for best editing.
That
So
correlation does make me think. Like I really
yeah,
would love to put F1 in here, but it seems like the safer pick is one battle after another. My heart says F1, but my brain says one battle.
yeah, because like best editing is a momentum indicator. In 2012, Argo won best editing, and it was not expected to.
Mm,
So,
okay. I think I'm gonna go with one battle then.
well, damn it, I am too.
Yeah. I was very close to picking F1 there until you said the last thing you said
But
about how like a bunch of best pictures have won best editing.
okay, well then I should shut up then.
No, no, you're helping me get it right. I want
I
to get it
want you to
right.
be wrong. I'm fighting you. No. But what I will say is so one battle won the prize the editors killed over F1 and it was kind of a surprise. So
Yeah, and to be fair, that whole car chase sequence at the end is probably where it gets a lot of recognition for.
yeah, I thought it was overly long when I saw it and I've been thinking a lot more about it and it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. It's a feat of, cinematography, directing, editing, kind of the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one, Zach.
Okay. Moving on to best production design. Um so a lot of films had some really good production design. However, the Oscars really, really like Flash. They like things that they can say and they can point to, hey, that's really good. Now, not in all categories. Um, not always in cinematography, not always in sound, and not always in editing. But in production design, I think, the production designers and the set decorators who are voting on it recognize craft when they see it. And a lot of that is flashy. It's flashy because it's good. With that being said, one film's won all the precursors so far, and it's Frankenstein.
And I think Frankenstein is probably the most deserving of this batch. I think all of them have great production design. And I think Frankenstein, just the sheer nature of there's so many locations in that movie. There's so many sets, there's so much going on in every scene. And I think the way Guillermo del Toro brings things to life visually I always describe a Guillermo del Toro movie as like, it's like the zaniness and quirkiness of like an animated movie, but in live action. Like that's just basically what his vibe has always felt like to me.
Yeah,
And as a result, like things like production design, it's easy for me to hit for him to get honored for that. I think he just does that so well.
I could see that. I will say I'm very pleased with this slate of nominees for Best Production Design. They did a lot of different things. I think Sinners, for the most of that film is takes place on one set, which is really cool. And you're getting props for that set. Hamnet doesn't take place on one set. I mean, some of its parts of its set, a lot of its set is unremarkable, but they remade the Globe Theater, and I think for that alone, that's why they got the nomination for.
Right. Because a lot of that movie is in nature and people's like houses and stuff. But yeah, that Globe Theater sequence I think is really where it earned the nomination here.
Yeah. But and again, I love both those films. I especially love their production design, but um I mean, they're
Yeah, I do agree with the idea that sometimes the Academy is like more equals better, and therefore which movie had the most production design, and that's
yeah,
kind of what they
more
think
equals
sometimes.
better, even among the professionals who do it every day. Even
Mhm.
sometimes he'll see it and say, "Oh, more, that's better."
We'll never forget how Bohemian Rhapsody won Best Editing because it has plenty of editing.
Yeah.
So
No, it didn't win best editing. It won most editing
yeah, they made a new category, most editing.
for just that year.
Very
No.
nice.
But
All right,
yeah,
I'm good to
I'm
lock it in.
yep, Frankenstein. Awesome.
Okay, best sound. Thank goodness this is one category now. Um, but I think this is an easy win for a movie like F1. A movie that's so sound reliant and the experience of seeing it in the theater is really what drives it home. There's maybe a slight chance of Sinners, but I think F1, this is the moment for F1 to shine for this category.
I would definitely agree with that. Times like this, I wish we had the two different sound categories, sound mixing and sound editing. If that was the case, F would definitely get sound editing and Sound Sinners would get sound mixing.
Yeah, that is true.
But with that being said, just holding one versus the other, it's fun to hear the sound of, all those cars.
Right.
So I think
And
we're
just
gonna,
it's
I think,
part of the immersion of the film is just the sounds you hear
yeah.
and the realism and I think it's probably the only real area I can think where you'll get recognized for anything. So
I mean, it's very immersive. So
yeah. I mean I know we disagree on how we feel about the film itself. I personally love it as a blockbuster. I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means, but I do think we can agree that the sound is one of the best parts of it.
yes, I agree. All right. So we agree on F1 sound. All right. So moving on to best costume design. Uh, I mean, a lot of films had really good costumes here, like production design. When you have kind of a period film, especially in like kind of like a Victorian era with everything is so flashy, I feel like you have a better shot. And that's what Frankenstein is. Frankenstein has some really, really good costumes and they are very flashy. Um,
Yeah, I would
and
agree.
however, I wouldn't discount Sinners for costumes.
Sinners could be a sleeper here, that's for sure. Um, it's funny because if Frankenstein didn't come out this year, I would also say like Hamnet is like a major contender just because it's a period piece. But Frankenstein, there's a lot. I think one thing that separates Frankenstein from Sinners is there's a good, from what I remember, there's a lot more use of color, and a lot of that comes from the costumes themselves. I think part of that's because Sinners takes place largely at night, so maybe it's not as bright, flashy and colorful as Frankenstein. But again, similar to production design, there's a lot of costume design on display in Frankenstein, and I think for that reason, I would probably pick it to win best costume design.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters to the voters, maybe the costume designers, but the costume designer for Sinners, Ruth E. Carter, is widely recognized as a very accomplished costume designer. She already has two Oscars for costume design for both of the Black Panther films. So she's won it twice with Ryan Coogler films. So just something to throw out there. But I see what you're saying about Frankenstein's flashier costumes. I just I could see a world where Sinners wins costume. I think
Yeah,
I may pick Sinners for costume actually.
I could see a world that happens, but I'll probably stick to Frankenstein.
Okay, awesome.
So if you wanted, if you this is the moment where we disagree.
We get to be different.
I would
Yes.
have never guessed costume design is where it happened, but you know what? I love it.
It tore us apart. We're not friends anymore after this, by the way.
But we still are gonna bring you this podcast.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is it's probably not a smart pick considering Frankenstein has won everything else, but I could see it.
Well, there's always that one I feel like that goes against the grain. So you never know.
And
You could be
that's
betting in the right place.
yeah, you never know. Or I could be wrong, but what matters is I'm trying.
Yeah. So in the same vein as make as production design and costume design, makeup and hairstyling, I feel Frankenstein is also a top contender just because of the way they transformed Jacob Elordi into the monster in that movie. That being said, I want to shout out the Smashing Machine because I think they did a great job transforming The Rock to look like this guy. I mean, I know there's a lot of memes online that it's like it's basically The Rock, but he looks a little off. But I'm gonna shout it out because I think it's an underrated movie, and I think The Rock is one of the best performances of the year as well. So that's I think it has absolutely no chance of winning this category, but I wanted to shout it out, and Frankenstein is still what I would pick for this one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also love that this category also they hold space for films you've never heard of a lot or wouldn't have thought of. Kokuo, for instance, is a Japanese film about kabuki theater, which is not a film or even a topic we would really be speaking about at all if it wasn't nominated for an Oscar. So that's cool. It can do
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that was one of those films that I had only heard of after the Oscar nominations. I did go back and watch The Ugly Stepsister, which is a film I had heard about, in the early parts of the year, but when I got nominated for this Oscar, let me check this out, and let me just tell you, it is it's a good film. It is pretty disgusting in a few parts, and I don't know, seeing a body horror type of movie in the Oscars, I want to see more of that. I think The Substance paved the way, but this movie had a few moments where I was just like, I don't want to see that. But
Really?
if
Okay.
you're a fan of The Deranged, it's basically like this. It's commenting on like beauty standards, and it's using this like twisted version of Cinderella to tell the story. And it's a Norwegian film, I think.
Okay.
It's on Hulu, and it's really bonkers. It's kind of like FX's The Beauty, maybe. I haven't watched it,
I was hoping someone was going to bring it up. I
but
have watched it. It's
but
disturbing.
The Ugly Stepsister, just really cool seeing it in an Oscar category. That being said, Frankenstein's still what I picked to win.
Yeah, I would also agree with Frankenstein winning here. What they did with makeup, the way they transformed Jacob Elordi, um, is remarkable. So, while the thing that Sinners has for it is it has a lot of blood, which is also big. That's a cool thing. And I was again listening to an interview with the makeup artist for Sinners, and they were talking about like the different kinds of blood that they can use at different parts of the body, and they tried to make that realistic, and all that's cool. But like Frankenstein, like you transformed a whole guy, a whole monster. That's cool,
And
and that's gonna win.
I've seen the video of him getting into the makeup, and it's pretty extensive. So, props to Jacob Elordi for just doing being so bold with what he could possibly do, I guess, in his acting career.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's an easy win for Frankenstein.
completely agree. Moving on to best visual effects. Um, Now this is a place to give an award that it seems like everyone's been giving an award to a film that's not going to get love anywhere else. Everyone's been giving their awards to Avatar, Fire and Ash. And why not, right? I mean, a James Cameron Avatar film should get your awards for best visual effects, I think, under any circumstance, unless the visual effects are not what they should be. I think in his case they are. And I don't think anyone in this category. I mean, Sinners has some fun visual effects. I think F1 has some really cool practical visual effects. I looked into the visual effects they did with the Lost Us, and it kind of blew my mind that they just put
Yeah.
on different
I,
like
I mhm.
layers of film and things like that to make it look like they were in flames. That's cool. I would love that for them if they won. It's not gonna win. I think it's Avatar.
Yeah, I also I want to go ahead and mention The Lost Bus, very solid film on Apple TV Plus, directed by Paul Greengrass. Not his personal best film, but a very good, tense, based on a true story film. That being said, I think any year there's an Avatar movie, it's going to take a lot to usurp that from winning visual effects. I mean, I personally like the third movie a lot. I know some people are starting to get kind of jaded by the franchise, but I got the opportunity to see it in Dolby 3D, which is a first for me, and I just thought it was a beautiful 3 hours of cinema where you really feel immersed fully in the world, and it looks like it's won all the precursors. And again, it's not gonna this year it didn't even manage to be like The Way of Water was also in Best Picture. Fire and Ash has really not been super recognized for a lot of things. So I would say Avatar is a safe pick for this one.
I would agree. I would agree.
The best original score. So I would like to first off say that if you had asked me a few months ago before award season started, I would have thought One Battle or Hamnet would be strong contenders for this category just based on how much I like the score. I think it's egregious that Marty Supreme was left out of this category. Personally, I think Marty Supreme's score is excellent. But I think the way it's gone with the precursors and the amount of what's did a little bit Hansen do Sinners?
Yes.
And he's always a phenomenal, musical score artist for films. And I think with the amount of love Sinners has received, he will also win an Oscar for this film. But yeah, that's where my head's at with this category.
I think we've gotten to the point where Ludwig, anytime he makes a score, he's gonna get an Oscar for it. Um,
He's just one of those talented guys who, if he keeps winning, it's not a surprise.
yeah. Of
He's just he's a great composer,
course, he got the Oscar for Black Panther. Oh yeah, he also did Oppenheimer too. So Black
right?
Panther, Oppenheimer.
He really does feel like Hans Zimmer's like successor, like the way his career is going, and just I feel like he's like the young face for like musical composing.
Absolutely, he is. I mean, he really is. Yeah, he is the Timothy Chalamet of this era of musical scores.
It's a perfect description of him, honestly.
Yeah, but yeah, no, um, a lot of these films had really good scores. Hamnet had a really good score. I liked Hamnet's score. But I think Sinners, yeah, I agree. Sinners will have the best score.
Yeah, this is one of those
Will win.
categories where I feel like there's not too much to discuss about it. It just feels pretty cut and dry.
Hmm. And then now, moving on to best original song. I think we all know where this is going.
I think we're going up, 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 if you know what I mean.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Um, yeah, I think Golden is one of the best songs of the year overall. The way it's tops Billboard charts and plays on the radio, and I mean, we've sang it at karaoke, just like the amounts of pop culture influence it's had. There's, I don't think Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verdi is going to take that from Golden.
Giant surprise. Surprise of the night.
That would actually make me angry. There's very few surprises that would upset me, and that would be one of them.
Be like,
Now, an upset I wouldn't be mad about is if Sinners I Lied to You won.
yeah,
That's all. That movie had a phenomenal soundtrack as well. And we're just very fortunate to have two different films that have such different but original soundtracks. And I think K-pop Demon Hunters Golden is what it's won like everything, right? I mean, pretty much for this category.
yeah. It also I didn't list it in my precursors, but it also won the Grammy as well for a song like in media, and that usually has a strong correlation too. So
About to be halfway to an EGOT.
yeah, no. the girls who or the funny, only one of the girls in Huntrix who like performs everywhere. Only one of them is a songwriter, so she's the only one. EJ is the only one who's actually going to win the Oscar, but that's super cool.
Yeah, and I love, every time she's won, she's really highlighted how her journey here has been unconventional and she's felt rejected to be a K-pop artist, and her just being honored for a K-pop song, I think is beautiful. And I think the Oscars will be the last stop on this victory tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's a narrative that you couldn't have written it better. And don't the Oscars love awarding stuff like that?
They love every now and then they give the people what they want. And
Yeah.
this is one of those times.
Um, the only thing that Oscars love than awarding great stories is making great stories, and then they can make a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, Golden, that's the one.
That's the one. All right.
Okay, in a similar vein, best animated feature, I think by a large margin, K-pop Demon Hunters is one of the most popular films of the year. All this award buzz surrounding it has really made me want. I need to go back and watch this movie again. I feel like because I listened to the soundtrack so much, and this year we have both the Disney juggernauts with one movie each. Zootopia 2, a good film. Elio, not one of Pixar's best outings. And then there's two other films that are one of which I've seen, one of which I haven't seen, but they're a bit more indie, kind of more niche. Arco and Little Amelie. So I think K-pop Demon Hunters is just the one that's probably going to win. But I do see you have an Annie for Arco. I'd be curious to hear about what that's about.
So the way that the Annie split it is they have two awards, one for big budget and one for smaller independent films. So that's what that was.
Okay, I
So
see. I don't think that's not compelling enough for me.
whenever we have had on this podcast, actually, whenever we've had a disagreement, because the last two best animated feature races have been very tight. And it was a big budget film versus an independent film, and using the Annie as a precursor to help us out has been no help because when it
Yeah.
was Spider-Verse versus Boy and the Heron, and then it was Flo versus a wild robot, they both had Annies. So they're like, okay, well, what do we do with this information?
And I will say the
But
last few years, it feels like the movies you mentioned, sometimes the smaller budget film gets the win, but I think K-pop Demon Hunter just has the momentum this year. I don't think any of these smaller movies have a chance of surprising us.
it has the most momentum it could possibly have. No film, I don't think you could like buy this much momentum that they have. It's come from it's organic and manufactured as well, but the people love K-pop Demon Hunters. The kids love it. Everybody loves the song and they love the group. So yeah, it's having a moment.
And
And
it really is one of those films that it's just like there's something for everyone. Like there's like the young kids like it, teenagers like it, adults like it, and people can watch it together, and it doesn't feel like it's a movie that's made for just children either with some of the themes. And I don't know, I think visually it's so creative, and it's gonna win. I don't see it going any other way.
it is. Sony animation has been really good the past, I guess, what was it like half a decade? I guess, well, 2018 since Spider-Verse, they've kind of been on kind of a renaissance, and
Yeah,
they didn't think this movie was going to be good enough, so they put it on Netflix, and that might have been the key to their success, honestly, because everybody got to see it on Netflix.
absolutely. And I think its success is led because I just saw the movie Goat in theaters. A very solid, very cute film. And I think that movie being in theaters might be a direct result of this film's success, just because Demon Hunters is the surprise hit. And I also want to take a moment to say that this is the same studio that made the Emoji Movie. What a turnaround. What a story. To go from Emoji Movie to Spider-Verse to K-pop Demon Hunters. Gotta respect it.
What a turnaround.
All right, so I'm good to lock it in and move on to the next one.
Same, dude. Okay. Now to, I think outside of Best Supporting Actress is actually one of the categories I think I'm having the most time with, or the hardest time with, and that is Best International Feature. Um, it's a two-horse race. The momentum, these are both films that are losing momentum, I guess, but who's losing momentum the slowest? Um, I mean, Sentimental Value has 9 Oscar nominations. Um, Usually, when you get 9 Oscar nominations and Best Picture and Best Director, and you're the only international film that has a Best Director nomination, you're usually the one who wins Best International Feature. That that usually happens unless something, extraordinary happens, as it happened last year. Something extraordinary happened, all the fallout with Amelia Perez. Um,
That's
but
hopefully a once in a lifetime scenario. And that was
hope it
that
doesn't
was
happen.
crazy.
Hope it wasn't a last minute thing with one of these other films. But this Secret Agent's got a lot of love too. Brazil has sort of a giant fan base, which you would know if you've been online ever. You would know when you in a comment section that mentions anything Brazil or a Brazilian film, every Brazilian person in the world is just commenting about that thing. But that being said, I don't know who has the edge here. I'm leaning towards Sentimental Value, but it could go Secret Agent.
So this is where I will share some of my more controversial opinions, but I don't think the two frontrunners of this category are the best. And I'm just gonna say that that's why it makes it hard for me to know which one's gonna probably win best foreign film. I do like Sentimental Value more than The Secret Agent. Secret Agent, for whatever reason, is the film this year that just didn't resonate with me personally. I found it a bit boring. But it has received a lot of love critically, and I have to factor that in my decision. They're both nominated for Best Picture, which basically means it's going to be one of those two. Um, and you're right. I feel like both of these films, because of SAG just totally excluding foreign films from their entire award show, it's been really hard to like think about where the momentum's heading for these two films. But that being said, because we have Best Director for Sentimental Value, I'm going to lean towards that one.
No, so yeah, I would agree with that. And just really quick, I want to shout out It Was Just an Accident because
Yes, so
if
good.
anything was right, his film winning Best International Feature without question, and it being a nominee for Best Picture and Best Director. But it just didn't work out that way. Um, I think Sentimental Value has the edge. What I will say, the only thing that It Was Just an Accident has that one of these other two doesn't have is a screenplay nomination. The Secret Agent doesn't have a screenplay nomination. And usually, um, when in this day and age, where you have international films competing at the top level in Best Picture, you have to have your major nominations in order to possibly win. Um, I'm pretty sure since the last time was another round, 2020, which got a Best Director nomination, every winner since then, except for last year's, had a screenplay nomination and also a Best Picture nomination. Um, we need to recognize last year as an extraordinary incident with I'm Still Here. It got into Best Picture because of another extraordinary incident, because of the awards being delayed and giving people time to watch that film, and then being the recipient or the benefactor of the Emilia Perez fallout. That being said, I don't think The Secret Agent can replicate that. I think Sentimental Value having all the precursors it has and all the other nominations it has just makes more sense. Even if there's not much excitement around it anymore, it still has 4 acting nominations.
Yeah.
I think we're forgetting about that. Sinners does not have that. One Battle After Another has that. So it's got as many acting nominations as One Battle After Another. Um, I think that should be enough to give it that award.
Yeah, and also it's about filmmakers and filmmaking, and I just think the Academy will eat that sort of thing up. So I think it's a solid pick for us for this category.
Agreed.
Okay, sounds good. Next up, we have Best Documentary. I will say that I have seen three of these. Out of those three, the most impactful and angering and also interesting one was The Perfect Neighbor, which is on Netflix, I think.
It is.
I think it's just the way it uses, body cam footage and, various filmmaking techniques. It's the most unique out of the ones I saw. But documentaries have never been my bread and butter. So I will defer to you, Zach. But if I had to pick right now, Perfect Neighbor is probably what I would go with.
I would agree. And incidentally, Perfect Neighbor is the only one of these that I've seen. I watched it last night actually, and everything you said about it was correct. It's angering, um,
Yes. It is not
but
an easy watch, but it is very compelling and well made.
it's not an easy watch. Also because of the way they did it. Sometimes documentaries they can be boring and interesting at the same time because that's kind of what life is. And you're watching police body cam footage like 20 minutes of it at a time. Sometimes it can feel like, oh, I'm sitting watching a conversation, which you are. But it's also thrilling. It unfolds like a thriller. I like it because it's innovative. The way they tell it is very innovative. I'd kind of worried about its prospects for this award because I don't know, it does other things that a documentary doesn't, like the body cam footage and just letting the story tell itself. But I think it's got the momentum. I think people are going to talk about it. It's a hot button issue.
Exactly.
Um,
It's about a hot button issue, and it's the film that I think most people have seen out of this batch, probably.
I would agree. I mean, that's just a big testament to Netflix. Um,
You have a love-hate relationship with those guys sometimes at Netflix.
yeah, I mean, I I hate them less now that they're not taking over Warner Brothers, but
Yes.
yeah,
But yeah, Perfect Neighbor is I think a very solid pick for to win this one.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right. And now finally, we have the three categories that are the short categories. And per usual, Yash has seen most of them and I've seen none of them. So, Yash, I will kind of let you kind of lead here and what your thoughts are, and I'll see if I agree with them.
Sure. So I've actually seen all of these, I think. So props to me for that,
Yeah.
because some of them can be hard to track down. All right, let me just make sure that's the truth before I disclaim. Yep, The Singers just came out on Netflix, and that was the last one I had left. Okay, cool. So we'll lean a little bit on my personal opinion and on the Gold Derby odds. I feel like that's the best shot we have here.
Yeah.
Let's start with documentary short. So here's what I'll say. I think if I was to say the best one and the most impactful one is All the Empty Rooms. It's this documentary that I think I saw it on, I want to say Netflix, maybe. It was on a streamer for sure. Very just like sad and harrowing account of these guys they go to the victims of, like, the parents of children who were killed in school shootings, and they go to their rooms and they just get the essence of who this child was. And to me, it tackles a hot button issue and is also just the most interesting out of all of these. Not to say that, I mean, almost all of these have a hot button issue involved, except for Perfectly Estrangedness, which is quite literally just donkeys walking around. I did not like that one personally. Art is subjective, but that one did not work for me. So I would say All the Empty Rooms has the highest Gold Derby odds, and it's also my personal favorite. So I think it's a good one to pick.
All right. Yeah, like And actually, I actually have seen all the empty rooms. I saw it. I forgot about it 'cause I watched it a while ago. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Maybe it's just being distributed this year, or or
But I
you caught it earlier before the Oscars were even.
either way, I agree with what you said about this. I think it has the momentum because it's about a hot button issue, but like this is the one that it's kind of similar to The Perfect Neighbor a little bit in a way.
It's very, it's very saddening to watch, and it's not easy to watch. And at times it's, emotionally taxing to get through those 30 minutes of that documentary. But because it left the most impact on me, I think it's the one that's going to win.
I agree.
But okay, cool. So animated short, this is where, I actually have to be perfectly honest, and I feel like this year's batch of animated shorts just weren't like the best I've seen. I thought they were solid, animation was great. There was some good. I don't think any of them were truly bad. The Three Sisters, that one didn't really work for me. That was a very bold, unique style with the way it was told. But just based on my own research and also watching all of them, I think Butterfly is probably the one that will win. Because I forgot exactly what it's about, but it's like the animation style is super unique and like it's based on a real guy and it's like very serious and like heartfelt. But I also want to shout out Retirement Plan. It seems like people don't really like that one. I think it's really good. So shout out to that one. But Butterfly is what I would pick just based on the Gold Derby odds as well as, what I think they'll want to award for this.
Okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, I've not seen any of these. I do know with animated short, and Gold Derby specifically, they can be kind of off. Um, like I think the one that won last year was like fourth in the Gold Derby odds or something like that. But that being said, I mean, I have no reason to go against you or the odds. This one, Butterfly, everything I've heard about it, seems like something that the Academy would award. So yeah, I'm good with that.
And best live action short, maybe I'm the least confident here, but the odds seem to lean towards A Friend of Dorothy. And at number for at 56%, and then Two People Exchanging Saliva at 32%, and The Singers at about 9%. So we can narrow it down to those three just based on the odds. And also, I do think with live action shorts, there is a bit of they do like to see stuff that like still looks like very professional and like, as the same as like a big budget movie, I think. And that's why those three probably have the most odds because they have more of a less of an indie feel, maybe. I mean, A Friend of Dorothy has a well-known British actress in it, so like it's more recognizable. Very sweet story. Maybe a little bit. The criticisms I've heard about it are that it's a bit predictable and it's a bit like, we've seen a story like this before, like a young guy befriending an older person kind of thing. Two People Exchanging Saliva, I feel like conceptually is way more unique and weird and more out there. Um, so I feel like this is one of those categories that if we're going just based on which one I like the most, A Friend of Dorothy is probably my favorite, but I also really like Jane Austen's period drama, which is not in the top odds, so we can disregard that.
I was gonna ask you about that. What'd you think of that one?
It was funny. I enjoyed it. It was very just comical and satirical. I personally think that's an underrated short from this year. Um, but all of these are good. Like this is actually a pretty good batch this year. Like none of these are bad. But yeah, I would just go Friend of Dorothy, kind of based on I would just agree with the odds here, just to that's the best I can offer you, even though I've seen all
Yeah.
of them.
No. Yeah, no. I am good to go with that. I think A Friend of Dorothy, like kind of what you've said, it has like kind of the things it needs. Um, it is as professional looking as a feature length film, which
Yeah,
I
and
feel like is what they want to go for.
it also highlights, the young man in the film is like his passion in life is acting, and this woman like helps him like pursue that more. and that sort of thing might also draw them in.
Okay, well, yeah, no, that's all I need to hear. I think that's great.
Perfect.
Okay, and with that, we have gone through all of the categories.
So we can run through all of them. I believe we only disagreed for costume design.
Yes, and really, that was just because I wanted to disagree on something.
Okay.
But I'm standing by it. I will stand by it because I'm a dreamer.
All
Um,
right. So I'll
okay, so I'll go through them. For Best Picture, we have One Battle After Another. Best Director, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. For Best Actor, we have Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. For Best Actress, we have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. For Best Supporting Actor, we have Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. For Best Supporting Actress, we have Amy Madigan for Weapons. For Best Original Screenplay, we have Sinners. For Best Adapted Screenplay, we have One Battle After Another. For Best Casting, we have Sinners. For Best Cinematography, we have Train Dreams. Best Editing, One Battle After Another. For Best Production Design, we have Frankenstein. For Best Sound, we have F1. For Best Costume, I have Sinners. Yash has Frankenstein. For Best Makeup, we have Frankenstein. Best Visual Effects, we have Avatar, Fire, and Ash. Best Original Score, we have Sinners. Best Original Song, we have Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. For Best Animated Feature, we have K-Pop Demon Hunters. Best International Feature, we have Sentimental Value from Norway. For Best Documentary Feature, we have The Perfect Neighbor. For Best Documentary Short, we have All the Empty Rooms. Best Animated Short, we have Butterfly. And for Best Live Action Short, we have A Friend of Dorothy.
Yep, that sounds good.
Nice. So, how many do we have? One battle winning. One, two, three, four, five. We have one battle winning five Oscars. Honestly, not as many as I would have thought. I
Hmm.
guess we have Sinners winning one.
We got Frankenstein winning a few. We got a good mix of films in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, no surprise. I mean, we have one battle as our big winner. Again, wouldn't be surprised to see Sinners take home even more than we have predicted them to.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll find out on Sunday, March 15th. All right, we have reached the end of today's discussion on our predictions for the 2026 Oscar ceremony on what will win. And we want to thank all of you for listening. And if you enjoy our show, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave us a review or rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can stay up to date with new episodes by giving us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and support our show by checking out our available merch linked to our social media. And with that, we hope you tune in next time.